side of not finding love in your life, maybe there's a place on Earth where being a busty American can make you stand out in some way. Iceland has one of the most open cultures, and that open, never before said, the gossips say that here, sharing juices, cavities and protuberances is something so common that they do not give it too much importance. The point is that it is a bit of urban legend, a bit of reality. So much cold makes people warm up somehow, and a lot of marketing. You like to catch a good memory or a good love. That was the slogan of an airline. They were even more explicit, so that there was no doubt about the matter. Do you fancy a dirty weekend in Iceland? Iceland Air motivated an infinite number of foreign males to buy tickets and fly to the land of the wild Viking girls. The airline also used other slogans such as a one-night stand in Reykjavik and Miss Iceland awaits you. The airline even presented games on their website in which the characters chased each other. The Viking chased the Viking girl, or the wench chased the horned warrior, each other around the Blue Lagoon. The rest I leave to your imagination. For one like me, with a little conservative mentality, it's too much. But for the Kevins and Brians or other pink otter hunters, this place may be paradise on earth. The Blue Lagoon is one of the most famous places in Iceland, and also one of the most memorable if you visit the country. But all Iceland is full of thermal sites and hot pools. Some of that heat from the hot springs stays inside people, and somehow you have to get it out. Iceland is a unique and very liberal geography, my dear and intrepid hunter of exotic otters. Here it is not necessary and imperative a second and third date, even many times not even a first one, so you can get your prize if the Viking gods smile at you, or the curiosity that awakens the contrast of your skin with the white of the landscape. Doing what you are thinking can be the first thing to be done. While in the United States or other countries, there are certain unwritten rules about dating and carnal relations, where generally some dates are expected before the amorous exchange. Here the thing is seen differently. First things first, and if they like what they find, it might make sense everything else just in case. Go to confession tomorrow, because in Iceland they don't have a negative view of all this. The cultural beliefs and customs have a historical explanation, and so does this freedom in their beds, equality between women and men, and relaxed morals. Goes back to their first settlers, with the arrival of the first cuckolded Viking, Ingolf Arnarsson, and his wife Holveig Frodadotter. God knows if I pronounced it right. They settled in Reykjavik in 874 for centuries. Since the arrival of the Vikings in Iceland, women stayed at home taking care of children, being hunters, builders, and farmers, although there were also a few warriors who could reach leadership positions. Viking culture was quite open-minded, so premarital relations were common. A woman could test to see if her candidate for a husband could perform well with his sword. If the imposing warrior did not measure up, she could decide not to marry him. Women could marry as young as 15, often to much older men. Families could arrange marriages, but they had the final say. Once married, Viking women had many rights, such as the right to divorce or to inherit land. At the beginning of the Viking Age, relations outside marriage were accepted, but later they became a crime. If the woman was found sheathing the sword of another Viking, she could pay with her life, both she and the intrepid lover. The Icelandic sagas, which describe the first populations of Iceland during the 10th and 11th centuries, relationships to combat the cold are frequent. Much later, in 1707, smallpox affected a large part of the population. 12,000 Icelanders succumbed, which was equivalent to a quarter of the population at the time. At that time, Iceland was part of the Kingdom of Denmark, whose king decided to make it a law that every Icelandic woman should have 6 children, whether she was married or not. In a time of crisis, this was not seen as unfair or shameful, but as necessary for the population to survive. There are an estimated 60,000 married couples in Iceland, out of a population of only 372,000 people. Marriage in this country is something that you may find a bit dystopian. As we said before, first they evaluate each other's performance, then they date. Later they live together. Eventually they have children, and years after the arrival of the little Vikings, they start talking about the idea of getting married. Thanks for coming here if you like the video, that I hope so. Give us a like and tell us if you would be willing to take an Icelandic love with all that they suppose. We are seeing each other in this content that I leave here, or in a few days in the next video, and if you come to Iceland, behave well, that the Viking warriors are weapons to take by.